Last week we talked about being one body with many members, and so also it is with Christ in consciousness. And we left with this wonderful quote from Mahatma Gandhi, a paraphrase of that Bible quote. I think it fits so perfectly for today. God has so ordered the world that no one can keep his goodness or his badness exclusively to himself. The whole world is like the human body with its various members. Pain in one member is felt in the whole body by all members, because we're not separate. We're one. We are one. 10 years ago, September 11th at 8:45 a.m. in the morning, we were a different country than we were just 1 minute later. In the twinkling of an eye, everything can change so quickly in any one of our lives. There are no guarantees that that won't happen to us. And collectively, it did happen when those towers went down, the first one at 8:46. The whole world changed in that moment as we watched in horror and disbelief that something like that could happen here. And then at 9:03, when the second tower went down and collapsed, it was a whole new world. Our innocence in that moment as a nation collapsed as well. But what was also amazing about that tragic moment was how one we all felt after that as well. How connected everyone was. And as the waves of grief went across our country, the whole world sort of felt that grief with us. Everyone was together as one. That attack wasn't just an attack on us in this country. There were 56 different nations being represented in the World Trade Center. On the 17th floor was a Muslim mosque where people were on their knees praying for peace and oneness. This particular assault and the brutality of it took a long time for it to sink into our bones. The reality of what had happened and how quickly we had all been changed in the twinkling of an eye. And how much we are a part of our joy and our light and our sorrow and our deep suffering. You can feel that in everyone's bones as we come together and awaken to the depth and the truth that lies just beneath the horror of what happens at the surface of the life that we live. Nothing that we could have done could have prepared us for that. And the journey of healing is just that. It's a journey of acceptance. And lesson summation point number 1, it talks about how we engage that process in ourselves. And it's different for everyone, the timeline for it. The stages of grief and healing unfold in their own schedule. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally, acceptance. Each take their time at the wheel. No one knows when they're going to show up, do we? In our spiritual practice, we seek to go to the last phase of that journey first. We choose to enter into and directly engage acceptance. Accepting what is the first step to healing. And so we don't wait to get to that. In the Bible it says, he who is first shall be last. We take acceptance and we say, this is what I'm here for. To accept what is. No matter how terrible or difficult or tragic it might be, the journey to awakening begins with first being able to accept what's happened. This is what is. And when you allow what is to be present, you also get to see what lies right beneath the surface of that. We got a collective lesson in that. All of us did. We got a collective look at just how deep the well of the truth goes in us. In those moments, the incredible heroic nature of the warrior and the warriors within us came forward as people came out of their smallness and their littleness and lent a hand and helped people. We don't need to wait for tragedies to happen to awaken us to that kind of power. We can begin that work right here and right now. And it begins with the journey of accepting what's unacceptable. I'd like to tell you it's not going to continue, but it is. There'll be more things that you'll be called upon to accept that will be unacceptable, because here in this world of temporary forms, things come and go. They rise and fall. You have your time, and then your time is done. That's the way it works here. Acceptance is a powerful tool for getting deeper into the well of our own being. Back in 1980, when Maureen and I got the diagnosis of our then one-year-old daughter, Kristen, that she had a terminal illness called globoid cell leukodystrophy. I want you to know that the plane hit the tower number 1 at that moment. And we were forced to accept what was unacceptable for us. Having a sick child was not on our agenda at all for what we wanted to experience in our life. And then we were told that of the 230 cases of it in the whole world, no child had ever lived past 5 years of age. We had to accept what was unacceptable. And at 30 years old, it was a lot to ask of us. But the truth is, it helped us show up in a whole different way for the whole rest of our lives. I wouldn't deny any of the journey with Kristen that we had. We were called upon to accept what for most people would be unacceptable. Grand mal seizures twice a day. Wow. Dealing with that. 7 medications every morning that she had to take. We had to deal with what was unacceptable. And what happens when you do that is, you kind of gather a sense of impermanence and also the sense of that which never fades away at the same time. You sort of stand right on the edge of the crazy preposterousness of that kind of situation, and also with the incredible gift that it also presents for you, not to get stuck in any form, because it's going to keep changing and rearranging. So when she left us 4 years later, you would think we'd be prepared for it, but the truth was we weren't. The second tower at that time came down for us in our lives, and even though we knew it was coming, when it comes, it still brings you right back to the first step, denial and anger and bargaining. It was there all over again. But we'd learned through the process of the time with her to slowly build up a reservoir of strength and energy that would be there. The Bible says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff comforteth me. Thou preparest a table before me in my thoughts of enmity. Surely, no matter what you're going through, if you're practicing goodness, loving kindness, and even a good sense of humor, will follow you in all the days of your life. And we developed a sense of humor about our mortality, and hers as well. And you do that when you're faced with something that's unacceptable. I know every person in 9/11 can tell you the same story. You do. You just change your relationship to everything. And you're ending with the beginning of knowing that nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. And the rest of it is really just life doing its dance and doing what it does. So when she left us, we decided that we were going to have her stay with us. That morning, we decided we want to keep her as long as we can in our house. So we called up the mortuary. And the mortuary, they're very much like, lurch, hello, and how are you? And we told them, that our daughter had left us, and we wanted to keep her as long as we could. And they said, oh, we'll be right over. We said, no, don't come right over. We want to have, how long are you allowed to have her with us? And they said, a certain amount of hours, and then you have to legally, you can't do that. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to have her be in stasis for 3 days, because we had this belief that it takes the soul 3 days to totally disconnect from a physical body when it's done. We have that belief. So we wanted to make sure we did that for Kristen. So they said, well, we'll be right over to pick her up. And we said, well, we want to keep her for as long as we can. And the truth is, you don't need to bring a big limo for Kristen. She's only 35 pounds. We'll put her in the back seat of the car and we'll take her to the mortuary ourselves. And the guy went, really? You want to do that? And I go, yes, we do. So nothing about this has been normal. It's all been abnormal. So we took her, we put her in the back seat of the car, and in a little special, neat seat, and we strapped her in. Our only fear, now I'm not being morbid now, but you do develop a sense of humor. Our only fear was some member of our congregation from Unity in Port Angeles would see us at a traffic light and open up the window and go, could you go, Kristen? Oh, could you? Bye-bye, what? And we laughed at the thought of how crazy that would be. We took her to the mortuary, and again, Lurch was there, and he said, here, put her right here, and we sat down with her, and we said, well, it's important for us that we be able to take her where she's going to be, downstairs. He said, no, you can't. You don't want to go downstairs. No, downstairs. And I said, nothing about this has been normal. We need to put her body where it's going to be. This is part of our healing. Please, we have to do this. And he said, well, okay. And he took us downstairs, and we put her in the spot where she would lie, and we put flowers around her and her two favorite little toys that she loved. And we bowed and we said prayers, and we said goodbye. And we left. And I was complete then at that point with the body. Maureen, 3 days later, her mom shows up. She decides she wants to go to the mortuary and take Kristen's body from the mortuary to the crematorium to be part of that process. Well, if you think the other request through the funeral directors in the Tinsy, you should have seen him when Maureen said that. I'll come and pick her up. They went, you what? She said, I have to. This is part of my healing. Your healing is personal to you. The things that you have to do are different from what somebody else has to do. The particular way in which you need to accept the unacceptable is different for every person in this room. I said to Maureen, why would you want to do that? It'll be like being right back to the beginning again, right after it happened. She's saying, because that's what I need to do, and I'm doing it. I didn't go. And she left. And my thought was, she's going to come back and just be right back to the beginning again. Nothing could have been further from the truth. She went, she took Kristen in her arms, her mom drove the car, she went to the place and placed her in and said goodbye, and the divine feminine who had given birth to this child gave this child back to the divine presence of the cosmic mother. And when she came home, my friends, it was like she had been on the top of Mount Horeb with Jesus and Elijah and Moses. She came back filled with the presence of the light. It was unbelievable. She was just filled with light. Her process had been complete for her. Everybody engages this particular type of practice in the way that's perfect for you. And when you have a practice to fall back on, you have something you can begin to engage, to take that process and move it through you faster so you can be a benefit for other people. When we got the news that the towers had shifted, we were in Hawaii, in our little Kailua home. And our daughter had called us on the phone and gave us the news of what had happened. She was a flight attendant for Delta Airlines. She had a real connection with people flying airplanes. That's what she did. And when she told us that, we got off the phone, and I didn't say this right at the first service, we decided, monumental moment, not to turn the news on. That we would do our 45-minute meditation first. That we would go into practice. That's what you're called upon to do if you're in this room, if you're hearing what I'm saying, if you haven't walked out yet and aren't blaming somebody else for the problems of the world, you'll decide in these monumental moments to do your practice. So we sat for 45 minutes, longest sit of my entire life. And then we were ready to engage what there was to see, to be our part, so you could be your part in healing, in bringing forth that which is permanent and cannot be touched and can never be harmed. This is our work while we're here. The lessons of 9/11 are universal teachings that everybody comes to one time or another. The most important one is that everything here is impermanent. Everything that rises falls. Everything that is one day won't be. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. It's all an illusion, so what's the fuss? My friends, you look great. I love how your dust is all put together. You look marvelous. But the truth is you're going to go back to dust again. So, that's what we do here. So forms rise and forms fall. They come and they go. But that which we truly are cannot be harmed or touched in any way. And that's what these situations bring us to. I was listening to this NPR program of lessons learned from 9/11, and the people who are now 10 years out, the ones who've engaged to practice, the ones who are doing the work that we're doing, have been transformed in their life by what happened to them. They are not the same ordinary people who they were. Many of them have become extraordinary teachers and leaders in the world because of what they've experienced, because of their touch with mortality. They've been in touch with a deeper reality of what matters most. Because the truth is, all of this is up for grabs. Everything you own, everyone you love, is on loan. Your kids can't wait till you go so they can come in your house and get your stuff. I hope not, but that's true. Everything's momentarily here, but then it's gone. It's kind of like, that doesn't make me morbid. It makes me want to appreciate more what I'm doing when I'm doing it. I love life. I love the beauty of biting into that delicious apple, you know? Going down. I love a good, fresh, delicious, cold apple from the fridge. Not too ripe. I love an ice cream sandwich. We've just gotten back to ice cream sandwiches. We bought a whole bunch for Emerson. We're eating them. We go, you know what? It's time for the sacred treat of an ice cream sandwich. I love going to the ocean and jumping in the cold water. I love life and the beauty of it. But the truth lies in this. The beauty of it has really nothing to do with the apple, but everything to do with the orchard, where it comes from. That goes deep into the earth. That's the beauty of the depth of what we come from. That, yes, for a moment it's an apple and I eat it. It's a this, it's a that, it's a him, it's a her. But all those forms are temporary. When we can go deep into the orchard of our own being and connect with that divine presence, and then when a big storm comes and all the apples get shook off the tree, we go, of course they would. But I'm connected to something that's permanent and forever. And when we're in touch with it, we become a vehicle and a channel for bringing the eternal essence and presence into everything that we do in the world. There's a famous two-line poem that's actually in your lesson summation. It comes from a Japanese minimalist named Mizuto. His property had succumbed to this huge fire and everything was lost, completely flattened. And in typical Japanese Zen master style, he said, "Barns burned down. Now I can see the moon." Barns burned down. Now I can see the moon reflecting. So something gets taken away, and you can see what you haven't seen before. You can hear what you haven't heard before. You can live what you haven't been living. Not a sad apology, but a proud testament to who we truly are. That's what our life is meant to be. And these tragedies bring us the strategy for awakening. In the midst and in spite of whatever rises and whatever falls, we are immortal beings, made in God's image and likeness. And nothing can harm us. And yea, though you'll walk through the most difficult times, the presence of the Spirit is with you. And surely that loving kindness can follow you in all the days of your life as we awaken to who we are together. So let's take a look at our lesson summation for a moment. The stages of grief and healing unfold on their own schedule. This is different for everyone. How much time it takes is up to you. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance. Each will take their time at the wheel of your life. I guarantee it. In our spiritual practice, we focus on the last stage, acceptance. Acceptance is born of both the end and the means to helping us do what? Deliver ourselves into wisdom. That nothing real can be threatened. The lesson of 9/11 that's come to teach us is the great lesson of impermanence, that all forms arise and all forms fade. This is a universal physical law, and we can't stop this process. But we can feel in our bones the peace and the power of accepting what it is as it is, so we can get to what lies right beneath the surface of what's happening in the world of form. 3, therefore let your life be a proud testament, not a sad apology. Stand up and be amazing and celebrate the infinite value having any time in this baffling mystical life. Remember, barns burned down. Oh look, now I can see the moon. The very thing I thought I was has fallen down, and now I see what I haven't seen before. In concluding my story, we kept Kristen's special stroller and car seat that someone in our church in Port Angeles had bought for us. It was very expensive. At that particular point in our life, we were poor, not broke, but in that moment, not poor, but broke. And he bought us this beautiful seat, a special needs seat for our beloved Kristen. And for 6 months, we kept it in the back of our Toyota Corona station wagon. We just couldn't let go of it yet. It was so much that her life was for us, and the place that was empty by her being gone was not yet filled for us, and we needed to be okay with having that symbol be in the back of the car. And we pulled into Alethia's elementary school parking lot, and we watched a couple pull up in a car, and they got out, the mother and the father and their daughter, about the same age as Maura, and they took out a special needs child out of the car. And they put her in this chair that was nowhere near as good as the chair that we had. Nowhere near as pretty or functional. And both of us looked at each other at the same time. You see, when you do these spiritual practices, something comes to you and you say, we are ready to release this and move on. And we both went in the back, we took the stroller out, we unfolded it, and we wheeled it up to our new family and friends. We said, we know what you're going through. We've just lost our daughter 6 months ago. We know that there's light at the end of a tunnel. We know that you will be able to face this and something magnificent will become from this. This is Kristen's throne of power. We want to pass it on to you. Let it be a symbol of the glorious opportunity that we all have to be able to accept what's unacceptable and find in the midst of that something eternal that is forever. And we all stood together in a circle around that chair, around that child, and we cried and we laughed and we gave thanks for the one soul, the one heart, the one mind that knows we are more than just what we appear to be. We are magnificent, glorious sons and daughters of God. May you find ways to engage this in your life this week as you become a little bit of heaven made known right here now on earth. This is why we're here. Enjoy your practice. Namaste.